Today we're going to be predicting the 2024-2025 NBA season because the off season is nearly done. We're wrapping it up. It's coming to the climax. All the big moves have finished. Summer League's about to start, and now we've come to the end. So let's start with the East because the West is a logjam. And let's get straight into this because at number 15, I can see multiple teams coming there with Detroit, Washington, the Hornets. I could see the Bulls, but ultimately I think Washington will finish 15. Because honestly, I do see this team falling down quite a bit. Especially, I think they'll trade Kyle Kuzma this year. And the next team will show you, well, the next few will show you why I have this opinion. At number 14, I have the Bulls. They're trading everybody. They're trying to trade Levine. They got rid of DeMar. Vucevic will be next, and it's why I have them at 14. At 13, I have Detroit. Yeah, wild. They go from 15 to 13. Because the Pistons, I know last year was crap. And the Pistons really need to get better. But with Cade Cunningham, I think he'll do pretty well this year. He'll improve a little bit more. And with a coach that isn't trying to get fired, because Monty Williams didn't even want to coach last year, they just threw him in there. I think that they'll do pretty well. Fingers crossed. I really hope they do well. At the 12th seed, I'm going to put the Toronto Raptors. Actually, no. Toronto, you're safe. Brooklyn Nets, you're up. Brooklyn just traded Mikal Bridges. They could even be lower than this, but I feel that their role players will get them through. And with the stubbornness of the Nets front office, I don't think they're going to trade anybody else. And I think Dennis Schroeder, Cam Thomas will lift and maybe even have an all-star season. I could see him averaging 26 this year if they give him a shot. Dennis Schroeder, Cam Thomas, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson and Nicholas Claxton could finish as the 12th seed this year, could even finish lower, but I'm going to be optimistic. Then I'm going to have the Hornets. I want to say they'll make the play-in, but they never do, and LaMelo's never healthy, but fingers crossed they're healthy. Fingers crossed they push towards a play-in. I expect them to play more games, but who knows. LaMelo Ball last year. Let's have a look. I think he didn't play over 30 games. Played 22 last year. But when he was on the court, he was really good. That's a problem with LaMelo. Then at 10, I'm going to have to go with Toronto. Hey, at least they make the play-in. They're a decent side, I'm not going to lie. I like Toronto. I like Scotty Barnes. I like RJ Barrett. But I don't know if they can get through. I don't know if Scotty Barnes is a 1A type of guy. He's still young, so we'll see, but who knows. In the 9th seed, I'm going to have the Hawks. Trae Young's still there. He's still good. Other teams getting worse. Atlanta stays in their 9th seed position. The Bulls got worse. They'll play Toronto in the first playing game according to these predictions. In the 8th seed, this is a really hard tip. Could be Miami, but Jimmy Butler said he was going to try this year. So this may come as a surprise, may not come as a surprise, but I'm going to have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Go from the 4th seed to the 8th seed. I meant not the 4th seed, what am I saying? They went from... Yeah, it doesn't matter, but they fall quite a bit. Oh wait, they were the 4th seed, I was right. Because I think that the Magic will improve and it'll drop Cleveland down, and with the acquisitions, Jimmy Butler will play better this year, with Indiana playing better just with Tyrese Halliburton and Siakam having an off season. Philly, acquisition of Paul George. They'll just be better. So that's why I think Cleveland will fall to 8. But that doesn't mean that I think Orlando will get to that 5th seed. So I have them at the 7th seed. I love Orlando, and I think the East is a lot better in terms of talent this year in the top half between those top 4 teams. So they're there. 6th seed, I'm going to have Miami. They could be lower. They could be out of the play-in. But I'm going to say Jimmy Butler does take this year seriously if he wants to get paid. Simple as that. 5th seed, Indiana. I think Siakam, incredible player. And played well towards the back end of the playoffs. Halliburton was good when he played, got injured in the last 2 games. Should have really won one of those Boston games. Shouldn't have got swept, but oh well, I think they'll finish in the 5th seed. And in the 4th seed, I'm going to have Milwaukee. I think they're good, and I think last year could have just been a building block year, first year, and maybe this year they'll just be a lot better. Dame and Giannis have a year to gel, they'll just get better. Next, I'm going to put New York in the 3rd seed. I think that New York, with the acquisition of Bridges, Julius Randle hopefully being healthy. But the thing is, this is a very injury prone roster. Obviously not Mikal, but the way Tibbs coaches, man. Hart, then you have Randle, then you have Mitchell Robinson. You couldn't keep Hardenstein. Just what's going to happen? Precious Achiuwa isn't re-signed yet either, so who knows who's going to be their backup center. 2nd, well, I guess it could be Jericho Sims, but I don't know if he's the best. 2nd is Philadelphia, which leaves Boston in 1st. Philly, I think they'll jump up this year. I don't know if any of their stars will play 75 games, but I even think 2 of them on the court, they'll win a lot of games regardless. Paul Reed's a pretty good backup. They got Kelly Oubre. Lost Melton, should take a hit, but with Paul George coming through the door, they'll still be a very good team. Paul George was healthy this year, is not going to the Olympics. Should be a pretty good year for Paul George. And I think Clippers, if you haven't watched Paul George's podcast on what the Clippers gave him, stupid to lose him, because you'll see what they get in the west side of the bracket. So now we're in the west side, the 15th seed. I think I'm going to have to put Portland. Honestly, I think they should continue selling all their pieces. Like, why do you still have Malcolm Brogdon? He's getting older and it's not like it's helping you. Sell him. Sell Jeremy Grant. If you can get 2 picks for both of those guys, you'd be happy and run. And I don't know what they're doing, but Portland in 15th. 14th, this is where it gets interesting. A lot of contenders for this position. Could be Utah, could be San Antonio, could be Houston, but I don't doubt that. So I'm going to put Utah at 14th. I think they'll sell Lauri Markkanen. I don't think they're silly. I think if a team offers them 3 firsts and a few pick swaps, they're not going to be silly. They're going to take it. And they'll finish in 14th, because I do expect some growth from some other teams. I don't think Memphis will be that bad. I don't think San Antonio will be as bad, especially with Chris Paul coming in, which is why the 13th seed will be the Houston Rockets. Like Houston, man. I like Houston's lineup. It's nothing against them, but they don't have a clear number 1. None of their players on their roster will become a number 1, therefore they're not going to make it. And it's not the Boston Celtics. They don't have a whole bunch of good players on one level. They, like, if all their players were at Şengün's level, but they're not. They're not. Why they're at 13th. San Antonio, I'm putting at 12. I like San Antonio, man. I like them. I like them a lot, but I think they'll get to that 30 win pace, 35 wins maybe. They'll fall to the 12th seed, because the West is a really competitive league. Like, honestly, any of these teams, except for Portland and Utah, from 13th to 11th, I think can make the play-in in the Eastern Conference or even the playoffs. Okay, that's a stretch. Play-in. Because if we have a look at that 10th, Toronto's at the 10th. I think San Antonio is going to be better than Toronto this year, but whatever. 11th seed, it's between these two teams for me. Could be between Phoenix, but I think their their pure shot quality will get them over the line. So I am going to put the Clippers. I don't think Kawhi will be healthy enough to get them there. And I just think Golden State have a little bit more class. I think they're a little bit better than them, which is why they'll get over the line. But the Clippers, man, what are they doing? What are they doing? Why didn't you retain Paul George? He's huge to your team. Played way more games than Kawhi this year. And Kawhi had 65 game season around, I think, Kawhi Leonard. And James Harden was decently healthy, but it doesn't matter. When it comes to playoff time, wasn't healthy. Got out in the court, looked terrible for one playoff game. 9th, I'm going to put Phoenix. I don't like their chances, honestly. I do not like their chances. They have a lot of good shot quality, but man, I just feel like there will be a superstar trade to Houston mid-season, but obviously I can't grade Houston on that. That's why I was considering putting them at the 11th seed, because I think they could get Devin Booker or Kevin Durant, but I'm not gonna, affect Houston's ranking, but Phoenix will go on the 9th seed because of that. In the 8th seed, I have a couple of teams in contention for this spot, but ultimately, I am going to put New Orleans. Congrats, you got DeJounte Murray, but you got major problems. Zion had his healthiest year, and I don't think you're going to get that year from him again. And Brandon Ingram, man, he's going to get traded, probably for a bag of chips. He wants $200 million as a salary. I do not know who's going to be willing to pay that. Maybe the Spurs, but honestly, I do not think CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Zion, and whoever else they got is going to be good enough for that team. So that's why they're at the 8th seed. 7th seed, I'm putting Sacramento. You'll make the playoffs this year. Yeah, you should be pretty happy with that. Sacramento acquired DeMar DeRozan, but I think there's still problems. DeMar DeRozan, the problem with him is he can't shoot the 3-ball, and he's not the best defender. Can't shoot the 3-ball. When you give him, he's like a number 1, but they need him to play as a 2 or a 3. It's going to be struggle city once they get him and realise the fit isn't there. But I think Sacramento was one of the best fits for DeMar. But I'm just worried. I hope it works out. I want the Kings to do well this year. But they're the 7th seed. Then at the 6th seed, I'm going to put Lakers. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they'll get a deal done, but they're a good team. They got LeBron and AD, and without Darvin Ham, they would have won 50 games this year. I think there could be 5 to 6 teams winning 50 games. I don't even know if that's mathematically possible in the West. This conference is stacked, but the Lakers won 47 and Darvin Ham threw a few of those games. In the 5th seed, I'm going to have the Denver Nuggets. May come as a shock, but I think with them losing KCP, could be struggle city. Honestly, could be very bad for their chances. But I think Jokic is good enough to get them to the 50 win pace, and they'll be there. Playoff time, they'll be good. Minutes crank up. They'll play Christian Braun at the 2. Obviously not as good as KCP, but they should be alright. In the 4th seed, I'm going to have the I'm going to have the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are going to look really good this year, especially with Ja Morant coming back. They just got a whole bunch of good players. Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson. GG Jackson was good this year. They got Zach Edey in the draft. Can't fault them. They're the 4th seed. In the 3rd seed, I'm going to have the Timberwolves. Then in the 2nd seed, Dallas. And then 1 seed 1st is OKC. I'll explain it. 3rd seed, Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards is going to be good. They finished as the 3rd seed last year. I don't think anyone will decline, or I think Ant will get a little bit better in terms of his consistency, because he does put up a few stinkers, and he did it in the playoffs a few times. He just had stinky games, but I think he'll get a little bit more consistent. They'll stay up there. Dallas 2nd. I just think those acquisitions mid-season really helped them, and it will help them get to that 50 win mark pretty easily. OKC, with Alex Caruso, they should have spent. They got Hardenstein. He's a good center, but I don't think it was the best allocation of resources. But they got him. They'll be the 1st seed. They're the best team in the West. I don't think they're going to win the championship. I still think that going down this list, Dallas would beat them. Minnesota would beat them. Would I pick the Grizzlies? Probably not. Would I pick Denver? Yes. Would I pick the Lakers? Yeah. Would I pick Sacramento? No, they're not big enough. Yeah, those 5 teams, Denver, Lakers, I'm at 4 teams, probably will beat them in the series because they're a little bit small. But I think that they're a really good team, and if they continue to develop and J-Dub and Chet Holmgren aren't as bad as they are in the playoffs as they were last year, then that can flip. Some of these teams they can beat next year if they get better. But those are my rankings. 15th Portland, Utah 14th, Houston 13th, San Antonio 12th, LA 11th, the Clippers, Golden State 10th, Phoenix 9th, New Orleans 8th, Sacramento 7th, Lakers 6th, Denver 5, Memphis 4, Minnesota 3, Dallas 2, OKC 1, and for the East, Washington, Chicago, Detroit, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Toronto, Atlanta, Cleveland 8, Orlando 7, Miami 6, Indy 5th, Milwaukee 4, New York 3, Philadelphia 2nd, and Boston 1. Give me your rankings in the comments, and that'll be it.